The title of BLACKPINK's 2025 World Tour has just been revealed, but rather than joy, fans are expressing concerns about possible financial issues at YG amidst whispers of the members being compelled to participate. With doubts surrounding the suspicious timing, many are left wondering, was this tour genuinely organized for BLACKPINK, or is there something YG doesn't want us to uncover? A teaser was unveiled on February 5th, suggesting a much-anticipated tour. However, with no dates or specifics provided, fans were left puzzled, and the timing felt even more unusual, as the members were still engrossed in their solo endeavors, making a group tour unexpected. Additionally, YG had yet to mention any comeback, so many fans felt the announcement was rushed, perceiving it as YG scrambling to present the tour without a solid plan. One commenter remarked, "It seems way too soon considering they didn't even label the tour, it's simply called the 2025 World Tour." Then on February 19th, YG finally published the actual tour itinerary. BLACKPINK would commence their shows in Goyang on July 5th and 6th and proceed to North America by the end of July, eventually reaching Europe starting August 2nd in Paris at Stade de France. The tour would conclude with a three-day grand finale at Tokyo Dome in January 2026. Additional dates were incorporated due to overwhelming demand, yet fans remained uneasy with no comeback announcement. Everything felt amiss. Was this merely a repeat of their previous tour with minor alterations? Would they perform new tracks before their release, or was YG planning a surprise during the tour? Uncertainty loomed, adding to the chaos. As you may recall, BLACKPINK's contract situation made headlines throughout 2023, with their YG deals concluding in September. Fans anticipated whether they would stay or depart, assuming YG would strive to retain them due to their status as the company's premier act. However, it was evident that the girls yearned for more independence, considering their limited influence over music and promotions. Finally, they made a surprising yet savvy choice. They remained united as BLACKPINK, while branching out into solo careers, and that decision proved fruitful. Within mere months, three members initiated their own labels, releasing solo music at a rhythm that eclipsed BLACKPINK's group discography. Their impact was substantial, resonating in both Korea and internationally. By late 2024 and early 2025, solo releases were abundant, with Rosé's R debuting in December, Jisoo's Amourage dropping on February 14th, Lisa's Alter Ego emerging on February 28th, and Jennie's Ruby launching on March 7th. Jisoo and Jennie also embarked on mini tours, while Lisa and Jennie graced Coachella in April, leading many to assume a lull would ensue just in time for summer. On the surface, it appeared BLACKPINK was readying for group promotions again, especially after renewing their contract with YG for joint endeavors. Yet behind the curtains, the full story might have been more complex. For many, this didn't seem like a meticulously orchestrated comeback linked to their contract renewal, nor was it driven by the members' eagerness to congregate. Increasingly, fans speculated that the underlying truth was simpler. YG could be in dire straits, with this tour possibly being their last chance to mend financial woes. Everyone recognizes BLACKPINK as the cornerstone of YG. Even with groups like Treasure and Baby Monster debuting after them, none have reached BLACKPINK's remarkable success. Consequently, when the members opted not to reconvene their solo contracts with YG, the company inevitably faced repercussions, and they felt it acutely. In February, it was disclosed that YG suffered a challenging year in 2024, marking the first instance of a yearly operating loss, despite generating approximately 365 billion Korean won, or about $250 million in revenue. The company proclaimed that it would part ways with all its actors, citing a desire to refocus entirely on music. In their announcement, YG expressed gratitude to both the actors and fans for their support, indicating they would continue to manage the actors until their current contracts expired, but none would be renewed. This meant well-known figures like Lee Young-jang, Kyang Leo-hyuk, and Sun-eun were all being let go. Just days later, on January 21st, YG attempted to reshape the narrative by unveiling something fresh, the 2025 Y National Audition Tour. They initiated a significant talent scouting venture across 6 cities spanning from February 7th to 23rd, consisting of 7 audition days in total. This was clearly a move to cultivate new faces, new energy, and potentially a fresh beginning. Rumors also circulated that YG was gearing up to debut a new boy group this year, although nothing has been confirmed. Nevertheless, amid shutting down an entire division and launching a nationwide search, it's evident that the company is striving to reverse its fortunes. Considering everything that has transpired, it's straightforward to understand why some individuals speculate BLACKPINK may have been urged into this group tour. The members have been excelling individually, and some contend they're even more prominent as solo artists than as a group. This shift likely left investors anxious, particularly with YG already facing financial strains. Rather than rushing out a group release along with a brief promotional cycle, YG took a bold leap and proceeded straight. As the members have been flourishing individually, some would argue they might even be larger as solo artists than as a group. Such a transition likely unsettled investors, particularly with YG already under financial strain. However, rather than hastily pushing out a group release and a short promotional cycle, YG opted to move directly. Observing the entire situation, it's clear why some believe BLACKPINK may have been coerced into this group tour. The members have certainly thrived on their own, and many argue they've become even more prominent in their solo endeavors than as a group. That considerable shift might have made investors anxious, particularly with YG already grappling with financial strain. Yet rather than hurrying a group release and brief promotional cycle, YG moved forward directly. New boy group this year, although nothing has been officially validated yet. Still, from the closure of an entire division to initiating a nationwide search, it's evident that the company is in desperate need of recovery. Considering everything that has transpired, it's understandable why some believe BLACKPINK was pressured into this group tour. The members have thrived on their own, and many would argue that they are even more prominent solo than they were collectively. This change likely caused investor discomfort, especially with YG already under financial strain. Yet, rather than hastily arranging a group release and a brief promotional cycle, YG chose to focus straight on. Each member has been flourishing on their own, and some might even suggest they're more successful solo than they were as a collective. This change likely caused some concern among investors, particularly with YG already facing financial challenges. But instead of hastily releasing a group album and a brief promotion period, YG opted for a different approach. For the substantial earnings, live tour events generate far more income than album sales, so kicking off a tour first could have been their strategy to quickly stabilize matters. There's also the worry that fans might lean towards purchasing solo albums or merchandise, reducing the excitement and funds available for the group's return. By announcing the tour early, even before any comeback details were revealed, they could secure ticket sales and create some breathing space. Some speculate this indicates the album wasn't quite ready and YG needed extra time to delay, yet this way fans can start saving and spending on the tour first, ensuring upfront income before anything else is released. The belief that this tour wasn't planned from the onset was fueled by a blind item that surfaced during the Oscars. If you're unfamiliar with blind items, they are essentially gossip leaks that disclose intriguing information while remaining nameless. However, this one provided enough clues for fans to make connections. The timing, the phrasing, everything about it screamed BLACKPINK, further intensifying the notion that the tour wasn't part of a long-term strategy, but hastily organized behind the scenes. The blind item stated, "This foreign-born, one-named singer and her fellow group members were not inclined to tour this year, but felt compelled to. They are essentially being coerced." Although the blind item didn't specifically name anyone, it was quite clear that the mentioned foreign star was Lisa, and the story revolved around BLACKPINK's forthcoming tour. This revelation ignited considerable backlash, with many blaming YG Entertainment for intentionally disrupting the members' solo endeavors to push group activities instead. For instance, fans noted that tickets for the tour were made available just a day prior to Lisa's album launch, which only amplified suspicions that the company favored the group's return over individual promotions. One commenter remarked that YG consistently announces group events or schedules around solo releases. They put tickets on sale for BLACKPINK's World Tour Cinema precisely on the day of her first solo album release. Other individuals suggested that YG might be looking to capitalize on the members' solo successes, believing the company is in dire need of cash and pushing the group for more promotions to secure quick profit. Conversely, many fans brushed aside these concerns, arguing that people were overanalyzing the situation. They pointed out that Young Hyun-suk had previously mentioned a BLACKPINK world tour last summer, implying that this was not a last-minute decision by YG and that the tour was likely part of the group's contractual discussions from the beginning, rather than a sudden pressure tactic. Fans also claim the solo projects appeared rushed due to a timeline having been established over a year and a half ago. In fact, the members themselves revealed in interviews their intention was to spend 1 year focusing on solo endeavors before reuniting for group activities. However, the establishment of their own agencies and the need for full albums took longer than anticipated, leading them to release their solo projects closely together just before the tour announcement.